Hello everyone, Alex here, and today we are gonna talk about league challenges. So we're gonna start talking about Guy Gardner because he's super important, and especially his artifact, Krona's Power Gauntlet, to be at rank 3. Rank 3, every shield he applies, which happens every time he does damage, will give him 10% more damage amplification for 2 turns. Since turns aren't passing against Parademons, the first league challenge, he keeps stacking those shields and he keeps stacking plus 10% damage amplification. And if you play it, you will see that every time he hits a different Parademon, his damage ramps up. Eventually, they get more stats and more Bastion spawn, so he stops killing them. But let me show a screenshot. Like, that's one of my best scores so far against Parademons. And you see, Guy is doing all the work. He's putting out hundreds of times more damage than the rest of his team. He tanks a lot more. So basically, it's his show here. When you have him at rank 8, so he can get artifacts at minimum, and his artifact at rank 3 really ramps it up, like double the damage from being rank 2 many times. Tip number 2, which is super important, put your best gear on the characters that you're using on league challenges for every different challenge. So let's say I want to attack back row, I'm gonna put gear from other characters that I have higher investment in. If you have gear on your characters, it exchanges that. So you will put the weaker gear on your strongest characters and they will have something for Elite Arena different on them. And okay. And next tip is also move artifacts. So this way you really become stronger. When they have a gear, they move higher on your roster. And let's also put on Guy even better gear here to min-max that because he is the most important character in here, we want him to really do great and put the best gear on him. Tip number 4, those two here, ignore them, they don't work properly. So see here it states for every challenge it does that. So if you move, let's say for League Challenge 1, it says that it's for back row characters and Team Synergy from Robin, and League Challenge 2 it says for Batman, Synergy, and single target burst. Well, those don't apply properly, doesn't change the damage output. So if you attack here with Ocean Mass and Synergy, that supposedly will give you 90% more stats, it's 292,000 damage. This is low end, but if you attack with his Team Synergy, that you would be missing 90% damage, so you should be doing 90% less. You're doing exactly the same. So it's not, those don't count. You need to have there are the requirements here that you need to put 2 blue characters, but it would make no sense to try to squeeze more block characters in here, like throw Blue Beetle and Vixen and Bloodsport to supposedly gain 50% more stat, attack, defense, and health. This is not active 100%, and it's better to throw stronger characters against the challenge that we are facing, and let's talk about that. So for tip number 5, against Parademons, area of effect damage works very well because you need to kill them all, don't let them attack because they stand on your front row or they start doing a lot of damage after a while, and they can kill you very quickly. So especially before having Guy at rank 3, because afterwards it doesn't really matter. Guy is your main tank and damage dealer and he steals the show. But more so hitting on the point that those team synergies don't matter is put your strongest characters, like you can throw a Wonder Woman or John Constantine, maybe Hal if you have a big investment into him. Sinestro does hit primarily the front row, so he's not very strong for that. And put their ultimates higher on the list. If you see here, I have Ivy because she hits 3 people with her ultimate and does more damage than Robin that hits 1. So I'm taking a little bit advantage of that. Again, after you have Guy at rank 3, his emblem, he steals the show when he does more of the work. But before that, especially, you want to bet on area of effect characters, maybe even play it manually. You can be very quick with your ultimates and kill waves before, and calculate it with how you use them, and kill waves and reinforcements as well. Kill waves before they kill you, basically. So you need to be very quick with your fingers. Tip number 6, we're going to talk about DeSaad, League Challenge 2. And if you aren't aware of that, this is basically the main thing you need to do against DeSaad. Don't bring characters that do superpower damage, because he starts the match with 25% less damage taken from them, and then after he dies a few times, it goes to 50%, 75%, 90% less superpower damage. So you really don't want to have characters like Hal, like Sinestro, like Constantine. You want to have physical damage dealers like Batman, like Deathstroke, like Wonder Woman. And it's a problem a little bit with a shield tag, because basically all of them are doing superpower damage. So you want to complement that with a physical damage dealer in there. Have their ultimate going first. Batman is very strong single target against that, and you can use him in all of them. And Peacemaker is a character that amplifies physical damage by putting out fragile and to a small degree armor break can help you put out more damage, so he's helpful there. Plus he adds survivability with his Elder and works very well against DeSaad, who does an area of effect damage every few turns. So for tip number 7, against Steppenwolf, it's the opposite. He starts a match with 25% lower physical damage and then goes to 50%, 75% and 90%. So you shouldn't use Red Hood, he's a physical damage dealer. And don't use characters like Wonder Woman, like Batman, like Deathstroke. Use a lot more characters like Sinestro, especially, is the king here. His ultimate first in the order. Even if you have a small Deathstroke, Sinestro, sorry, he will help you put out a bigger damage in here. Most likely he pairs very well with Raven, that revives everyone and puts out debuffs, so he can have his ultimate at a lower cost. If you have him rank 8 or higher, she's also putting out superpower damage, and that's the reason Superman DCU is also in here. He deals a little bit of damage by himself, but primarily he's there, and a little bit as a tank that can help you survive. Primarily he's there for the dampens that he puts out a lot, and dampens increase the superpower damage that other characters can do. And if you really have a big Sinestro, it might be better to just have a squeeze, because you also have the requirement here. Squeeze a Superman DCU in there, rather than have a second damage dealer like Constantine. Is an awesome damage dealer that can help you a lot. Some situations Zatanna, because she can also make someone like Sinestro put out a little bit more damage. Some people have seen in some situations use Halin here. And if you see here, the ultimate order is just to maximize Sinestro. So he puts out a lot of damage, Raven puts out debuffs and applies some fear that can make you take a little bit more turns against him. Superman DCU puts out debuffs. The other two characters here are necessarily evil, mostly. Also, Master doesn't really do enough damage, but because he's a physical damage dealer, but he puts out a Bleach when you use his ultimate that counters the debuff, so Sinestro then can use his ultimate with one cost cheaper. You can throw Blue Beetle in here if you have him big, because he's superpower damage dealer. Nightwing's passive, where he deals damage passively when getting healed, is superpower, but his basic and his ultimate are physical damage. It wouldn't really make too much of a difference. They're tanks. More so Sinestro is the damage dealer in here. And the other two weeks, the requirements are Sacrifice, where you have Constantine being a big superpower damage dealer that you can have second in ultimate order. You can mess around, maybe either him or Raven to put out more fears and debuffs for Sinestro, depending on how build you have your teams. One of the two might work better. I usually use John Constantine as the second ultimate order. Pandora's ultimate is also superpower, so it's not too bad. So you basically change the two block characters and leave the team the same. And some situations that Anna makes sense to be thrown in the team. And the other week is with Justice Gang, so you can throw Terrific in there. It's very strong and puts out many dampens and counters debuff, so they can help Sinestro out. Moving back to League Challenge 2 for the tip number 8, and that is Pandora fits very well in here. Yes, her ultimate is superpower, but her basic is physical. It adds a little bit on your total, but her being especially around 4th in the ultimate order, you can mess around. I'm thinking if you bring her to her badge to rank 30, it might make a little bit of sense to try her in the 3rd ultimate order. I'm bringing her there because this sounds interesting. And the way it works is, and Peacemaker also can synergize with that well, is that DeSaad is hitting area of effect every few turns and makes your team low. And Pandora's ultimate hits 8 times if you have her budget rank 20, but even before it hits 6. And each time it heals the lowest proportion HP at the moment where she does it. So when she heals, she can heal 6 different people, so she evenly heals her team. And she has a weakness because she sacrifices her HP when she does that, so she can die. And that's why a bad rank 30 can be helpful with that. But she puts out shields, and the match may play out in a way where she's low in HP but keeps shielding herself, so she survives. And your team survives also because of the shelter from Peacemaker. And she keeps healing them up, so the other characters do more damage. You want their ultimate orders first, so they do damage. It does almost very minimal damage with her ultimate after a few turns when he dies because superpower. But she helps in that way, keeping your team alive so they can stay alive for longer. You can have your biggest damage dealer like Batman or Destro can be very strong in here. You can use Wonder Woman, especially if you don't have Peacemaker. That's what I used to do, but Peacemaker helps with the survivability, so someone like Batman or even Red Hood can stay alive for longer and ends up putting out more damage. But also, the Chaos Crystal is very strong for your biggest DPS in here. I put it on Batman, and put the lasso on Red Hood because it will give him more stats than having the bat that might fit better on him, but I don't have that much investment into it, and it doesn't give so much stats anyways. It stops at tier 3. It doesn't give the damage amplification. But you can also try Deathstroke in here. It's very strong, especially if you have him at rank 10. Don't know if I would replace Peacemaker, but you can't really afford to replace Pandora. She's super important, even though she doesn't fit a tag. And they will change her and give her the shield tag. So then you don't have to have superpower damage dealers in here. So then you can afford probably to have 2 more characters available, so you can throw Batman and Deathstroke or something like this, and have a lot of fun and put more damage up because they're physical damage dealers. Or Peacemaker potentially, because he helps like the Batman or the Deathstroke to put more damage. At tip number 9. When it's the last day, you will most likely, especially earlier in the game, have more levels on your characters, have more gear investment, have more ranks, especially if you're focusing on them a little bit, or their badges upgraded, or artifacts. So it would be smart to do one more run of all of them, so you attack all 3 challenges again, put the best gear and artifacts for the first challenge, then move them to the second, then move them to the third, because you may squeeze out a little bit of a better score that may help you out by potentially giving you a higher ranking in here. And the ranks in the highest leagues are very nice. And at tip number 10, to take this a little bit further, skip battle, auto, and if you do that long enough, 589,000, started already very strong. $506. There is a lot of RNG of if you crit, if your opponents crit. With Pandora, when she puts out her shield in League Challenge 2, when Challenge 2 and 3, some characters of yours might waste their ultimates by using them when the opponent is at 1% HP, so they don't end up being impactful. And if you sim it long enough, you will get lucky with a perfect play, especially if you don't have crit maxed on your characters. That to some degree, I think it might be a little bit better to leave some crit on the table and put more attack damage for that, because if you sim long enough, you will get the lucky run where you have a lot of crits. And if you keep simming, you will get your super lucky run here. You keep simming until the opponents don't land stuns on you, and until Guy crits. So if you see here, it has a chance of adding burn. You want them to add less burn. Upon 8 revive, it has a 30% chance to stun the enemy for 1 turn. You want it to sim it long enough so Guy doesn't get stunned by the 30%. Many times the opponents attack him and he keeps doing more attacks and he puts out more damage. So you see a little bit better score than when I started, because I did 5 sims. If I'm patient enough and keep simming for half an hour, maybe I get to 600,000. So that's the best way to finish this off, by putting your best characters in the last day, put the best gear, put the best artifact, and keep skipping battle as long as you're patient, and even more after that, and you'll end up getting a higher score, which, if you're looking to get into a higher league or get more rewards for your league, it can be super helpful. And as I said, the rewards when you go in the very high end are very, very nice. So good luck everyone, be patient, keep skipping, keep using your best characters, your best gear. Guy with a glove at rank 3 for the first league challenge and a little bit area of effect to help you. Physical damage on the second challenge, Peacemaker and Pandora can be supportive characters that help you survive a little bit longer. And superpower damage for the third challenge really fits in Sinestro. Good luck.